Last year, in the year 2023, I tried creating a CBD coffee beverage company, and I want to talk about it. I want to talk about what happened. I want to talk about how it started, how it went, and how it ended. I don't have any footage of it all. It was literally an entire ordeal of emails and text messages and phone calls and more phone calls and meetings and nothing really to record, which is kind of the sad part of it, but I can still tell the story, right? I'm 29 years old right now, so I think it'll be fun to like look back in a couple of years and hear this story. Or if anybody wants to do the same thing, maybe this will help you get a little further along than I did. So it's 2023, I believe it was like February, so almost exactly a year, which is also why I'm talking about it, because it's like the timing of it all. I had this idea that I wanted to do a canned coffee, but I was like, okay, coffee alone isn't going to be interesting enough. There's already so many products like that. You could just go to your local Whole Foods and find all sorts of different canned coffees to get. And Starbucks alone is at like every gas station if you want to get like that glass thing. So I was looking at like ashwagandha. I was looking at like there are not too many things like ashwagandha and like CBD. And I decided that I wanted to stick with CBD. Did a bunch of research to see where CBD gonna be like in 10 years. Is this even like a good product? Is this something that's like in demand? And off of all the research that I've seen, CBD is like $1 billion industry that I don't see anybody ever talking about. So I always see people talking about like getting into stocks, getting into like real estate, get into like so and so. But nobody talks about CBD in the sense of business. So I was like, ooh, I think I have something here. So formed the company. The company's name was Plutos Coffee. I thought it'd be like cute because it's like out of this world, you know. And Plutos Coffee was in full effect. We did like all the paperwork, and started working on like logos. Started working on who's gonna like manufacture, because I've never done anything like this. So I was like, okay, how do you even make a CBD coffee drink? And I figured out like it is not easy at all. And there's already two CBD companies called like Gibby's Coffee, and the other one I think is literally called CBD's Coffee. If you wanted to check them out, it is a thing. Gibby's seems to be doing it a lot more successful than I ever did, because I never even got to launch. And I'll tell you why. But so once you go and like manufacture and everything, there's a step called formulation. Formulation of any drink, not just CBD or coffee, of any drink, is when you're like pulling in your ingredients into one spot in order to make the drink itself. And then you test out samples and you test out a whole bunch of things. And once you agree on a sample, you're like, okay, cool. I want this one. This is what I want the entire world to taste out of my brand. So that's just the formulation part. That's not even to begin like production. That's not shipping. That's not finding the stores that are gonna hold your items. That's not any of that. It's just formulation is like where you start. And to start your formulation, I believe I was getting quotes for anywhere between like 15 to 20,000. And it's like, okay, companies and businesses are expensive, okay, but now how do you get people to carry your product? And what legalities did I need to even sell CBD? CBD isn't marijuana. It is not anywhere near like marijuana. Doesn't mess with you, doesn't do like any of that. But it does still carry a little bit of THC. And that little bit of THC could mean a whole new set of rules for what licenses you have to carry, what kind of in a way of like permitting and planning and like paperwork and things that you need to have, like reseller's license and things like that. A CBD, just for like example, a CBD license could cost like maybe $2,000, but a marijuana license can cost like $20,000. You see what I mean? And if you're going to be selling it out into like the public and things like that, you need to have all your paperwork in order and insurances and da-da-da-da-da. It's just such a different ballpark that is so hard to find information on. So this took me months. It took me so long to talk to different attorneys, to talk to different planning people, city people, insurance people, manufacturers, other drink companies that were kind of doing the marijuana distribution, like stores. Because one of the ideas was like, okay, if I can't sell this at like Whole Foods or Trader Joe's or Ralph's, can I sell this at dispensaries? Because I'm in California. It is 100% legal here. You can walk a mile and find like 2 dispensaries back to back, no problem at all. And I was even getting like the runaround from them too of like, if you're a dispensary, you can't sell CBD products, but because it has like the 0.3 THC, then maybe. And then I was like, okay, I'll go to like CBD stores because that exists too. And nobody would really give me like an answer on that either. So I was getting a little worried on who would even like purchase it or how I would get this out there. And at the end of the day, I did not have like a single person ready to take an order, ready to take a case of Plutos coffee after like months and months and months of research. And I didn't want to start production and manufacturing if I didn't at least have, I was aiming for at least 10 stores to have in order to like be like, okay, if everything else falls apart, I can at least say my coffee drink made it into like these stores, these 10 stores, and I'll just work from there. I'll expand from there, and who knows, right? I was just trying to plan as much as humanly possible of like where to go, how to do it, and not necessarily fail. So all in all, I still don't truly understand the legalities of the CBD THC world and what that meant, but we were ready to start production. I know that much. We found people who worked with THC because not every single warehouse is going to work with THC or CBD, so you still have to be like on the search for that as well. And I couldn't pull the trigger. I could not pull the trigger on putting not only $15,000 for just the formulation. You have to spend, I forgot to say this part. You say that you put the $15,000 on the formulation, then you have to spend about $40,000 on your first round. And your first round, I believe, I don't even remember how many cans that got you. Each can was going to cost about $1 to make. And then the turnaround of that was to sell the cans for anywhere between like $5 and $7. And so you're going to make a profit right there at that moment. You were going to make a profit of anywhere between like, what is that, like $4 and $6 per can. But that does not include your shipping, that does not include the stores, that doesn't include taxes, that doesn't include anything. Just the ingredients in the can from the warehouse was $1 to make. I think if the order was $40,000, the minimum order was like $40,000, then I'm pretty sure that meant like 40,000 cans. And that was the minimum order. You couldn't just like order 50 cans or like 100 cans, because then your price per can went up like ridiculously. So you had, in order for your can to be $1, you had to order the 40,000 cans. But say you only ordered, let's even say like 10,000 cans. Now your cans are gonna cost, like one can was gonna cost you like $12. How that adds up, I have no idea. But now at $12 a can, you have zero profit. On top of the distribution, the shipping, the possible store fees, all of that. You'd have to sell that one can of coffee for like $20. And even in LA, a $20 can of coffee isn't the greatest price points, especially when you're starting out too. So where are we? Like 15,000 in formulation, 40,000 for your first round. And from what I heard, you have so many complications with your rounds. If anything happens, the warehouse is not like liable. If your cans are damaged, or if something happens, some sort of contamination, or they got dropped from like their pallet or something, and now you've like lost half of your inventory, nobody else is liable but you. You have to still pay up, and you still have to now pay for replacing those cans. And the odds of like something going right, for me, my odds are never great, but the odds for something going right on the first try for all 40,000 cans meant that it was going to be more than like $40,000, because there was just no way. There was just no way that it was going to be like perfect. Kind of how when they tell you to do a home renovation, always add more money to that budget, because it's never going to be on budget. So it's like, okay, I'm going to do that exact same thing with this company as if it was real estate, of okay, I'm going to add more to that budget. So I was like, okay, I'll say it's like another 10. So now we're at like 50 plus the 15. So now you're at 65,000. This had no marketing budget. This had no way of like, how do I get the name out there? This had no advertising, marketing. I was like, okay, I could do YouTube, I could do TikTok, I could do Instagram, I can do all those things. But then I was like, Amy, you've been on YouTube for 5 years, maybe going on 6 now, and you're still not monetized. So I don't know how well you would do in that space of having to advertise for a company that you just funded for like $65,000 on the first round. So, it was all starting to add up. And 65,000 still isn't even like the bulk of it. You're still talking about the labeling, you're still talking about the legal fees, you're still talking about all your like permitting stuff, your paperwork. I don't even know for surezies how much all the paperwork was going to be. Like I said, it was going to be anywhere between $2,000 to $20,000 just for the paperwork, just for the legalities. I mean, the LLC alone, I think was like free, because I think the state of California was like doing something while I was like doing it. But everything else, now even think about, you have to have a website. And I did get the website, but the website was like maybe $100 for the year. I don't remember. But see how like the little things will start adding up. $100 for the website. You need a processing system for payments to like do your paymenting stuff online. And I couldn't use Squarespace or another existing like platform because they don't work with CBD. And as I was getting like further and further along, banks and loan people and like all that other stuff did not want to work with me because it was CBD. And no matter how much I tried to explain to people of like, it's not the THC part, it's just CBD, it didn't get me very far. So I figured if I was already having all of these complications, talking to lawyers, because even they were confused. They were like, what are you trying to do? If I was already having all these complications, talking to lawyers, talking to banks, I couldn't even get a website going because they don't want to like attach their name to something associated with that. I was like, damn, I don't think I'm ready for this type of company. And I know to a lot of people, I know to so many people, $65,000 is not a lot of money. I am not in that position. I am nowhere near in that position to say that $65,000 is not a lot of money. And a lot of people could disagree, but hey, if you want to take this idea, just take this idea and run with it. CBD coffee, man. In all the research I was seeing, I mean, you have to think about how are all these like dispensaries and stuff being so successful. There is a market for it. I just didn't know how to enter the market for it, if that makes sense, you know. But in the end, after all of that, after all the conversations, the logos, the manufacturing, the meetings, I decided to not move forward. So I started everything in February, and then I ended everything, like even dissolving like the company, you know, like the last page of it all, I believe was in November. So like 3 months ago now. And that was the end. That was the end of Pluto's Coffee. Didn't really lift off from the ground. Didn't really go anywhere. But I did learn a lot that I did not know about how the beverage that you are holding, even the foods that you are holding from the grocery store. I never knew everything that went behind it. And it's a lot. Like, oh my gosh. Wow. Like, if you think of like Monster, Red Bull, Gatorade, all of them, think about all the stores they're in, all of that travel and shipping and expiration dates and where they're like sourcing all of those ingredients from. You never really think about that stuff because you're just going into the store and grabbing your item, and you are happily walking out of that store without a second thought in your mind of, how did this get here? And now I know. And now I know that part at least. But yeah. All of last year I tried creating a CBD coffee company that ended up going nowhere. And also coffee, just like a little fun fact, coffee is actually more expensive to manufacture than like teas or waters or like a substitute of that type of things, like energy drinks. You know, they're like a combination of things, but because coffee has to be like extracted at certain temperatures, it costs more and is more complicated. Hence why only a couple of manufacturers do it, and so on and so forth. But anyways, that's not the point. I have a lot more stories to tell of everything that has happened last year, and hopefully Hopefully I get to post a little bit more often, but I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.